Well, hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day, wherever you are, a very warm welcome to ESGT Official. My name is DirtenDK, and it will be my pleasure, my utmost of pleasures, to take you through round 2 of the ESGT GT4 series. We're in the Californian sun at Laguna Seca for the second round. Round 1 turned out to be a show of force for the Acura drivers, and of course Phoenix Esports with Lamb and Darkrai a 1-2 in the finishing order of the first round. Let's see if they will be able to repeat the feat here at Laguna Seca. Also looking strong was a virtual life experience as always, but this could be a very, very different one indeed. So a very warm welcome that is said to everyone, and let's go to the live pictures. Still warming up. We are not too far away from the start of the qualifying sessions, and just with a single race gone, let's have a look at the standings. Actually, as mentioned, Lamb the leader for Phoenix Esports, alongside teammate Darkrai. Lamb with 81 points, Darkrai on 76. And then just 2 points of a jump between the next couple of positions. So we have Single Filer, Nova, Dr. LJ, as they call him, the DNA driver, Dr. Lovejuice in the Porsche Cayman GT4. We've got the Chevrolet Privateer, the man known as Abu. Well, Bonjour Storm it is now, and finished in 6th place in the first round. And that was of course at Brands Hatch here. Fastest in the practice session so far is Felix in that VLX BMW M4 that really had the pace, but as so often before, stricken by the BMW's lackluster fuel economy. And that plus a fair amount of bad luck as someone Felix throws it into the wall there. The qualifying session just about to start. Actually, here we go for 20 minutes of qualifying here from Laguna Seca. And it's going to be interesting to see whether the Honda boys of Phoenix Esports will be as dominant. Because not only did they take positions 1 and 2 in the finishing order of the race, but that was also how they qualified. That's Darkrai with a bit of a moment on the outlap. That's certainly not what you want or what you need. Tire wear and fuel burn, of course, turned off for the qualifying session here. Good evening, good luck. Well, good luck, Felix. Good luck to you and any other competitor who might be sneak watching. Dr. LJ, the first one to start his lap, as the rest of the pack is now snaking through the Corkscrew, the most legendary of points and one of the most famous single corners in all of motorsports, I want to say. Certainly also one of the most special, and it makes for a really exciting package here at Laguna Seca. A new addition, more or less, here for a month or so in GT Sport. And of course it is a welcome return, with Laguna Seca having its first appearance in the Gran Turismo series all the way back in Gran Turismo 2, a game that I remember fondly and very well. And certainly the first Gran Turismo was good, but Gran Turismo 2, epic game. Fantastic stuff. Anyway, qualifying session underway. We got the first flying laps running here. Dr. Lovejuice throws it up through turn 5 and now up the hill towards the Corkscrew. Let's go on board here with the Cayman GT4 driver. And that's a measured approach and hitting the line pretty perfectly. First time around here, the DNA Porsche. In for the final 2 corners and then the hairpin. So that makes for the final 3 corners, I guess. You get what I mean here. 126.7 instantly bettered by Darkrai. Shows that the pace of the Honda NSX very much on point indeed. No one really getting close to that. Single filer in the Viper for Vanquish Esports is closest, on the better part of half a second behind. So that's quite a sizable gap, and I'd expect to see them get closer to some degree at least here before the end of this session, because otherwise I think that'd be a bit of a surprise. Anyway, that's Felix getting in there as well, 4/10 down on Darkrai, and in the 25s as well, the BMW M4. So that's 3.5 tenths, actually closer to 3 tenths down on the leader. Hallman for GRT, that's a 126 dead, and that's good enough for 4th best. Of course, that's very close to the time set by Single Filer in the end. So the rest of the pack beginning to bunch up here. 5 minutes gone, still early days in this qualifying session. Still plenty of time to make up ground. Question is really, will anyone be able to keep up with Darkrai in the NSX? Doesn't seem like it so far. Felix not able to improve on that lap. X11 for Kinetic with a personal best of 127 dead. And that's going to be somewhat down the order. This time they got it right, by the way. First try with the tires and fuel turned off for the qualifying session. So that's of course nice to see. And everything really running as a smooth operation here in the ESGT so far. That's at least that's my perception of it. Coming in to broadcast these events, Single Filer following the Viper around. Darkrai still in the pit. Single Filer on a purple first sector. The question is, how much does the Viper lose in this middle sector? And will that GRT car get in the way? That gap is not very big at all. And there's a big of a moment as well for Single Filer on the exit of turn 4. Unless turn 4 is the slight kink. And that'll be turn 5. I actually don't remember. Used to have that work out at some point, but that's so many other things in life. The details sometimes seem to slip away from you. Maybe a sign of nearing the age of 30 for myself. Back to the action here. We've got 12.5 minutes of qualifying left here. A single filer is about to cross the line. That's a 25.796. 5 thousandths of a second from a front row time. Darkrai still hanging out in the pits. I think maybe not expecting anyone to really get close to that time. Felix is on a personal best now, climbing the hill up towards the Corkscrew. Let us see on board with the German. Really able to attack the final sector, where a lot of time can be won and lost for that sake. And then, of course, the hairpin, you don't want to brake too late for this one. Exit speed is everything here. Every centimeter of the track is used and is put to good use there to improve by almost 0.2 of a second. Meanwhile, we've got Hallman in 4th place now in the Lexus. That's the RCF Group 4 machine. And with an improvement there, it goes well into the 25s, 25.788. And that's heading row 2 now for GRT and Hallman, so that's certainly looking good. The second VLX car driven by JL, the Portuguese, the 555 machine, just completed a lap. That was a 1:26.3, and that's good enough for a 5th, a provisional 5th at least. Bonjour Storm is just a bit down the order at the moment. I think in 9th place. Here's X11, who is indeed in 11th place at the moment. 1.6 seconds off the pace in the pits for the time being. 10 minutes of qualifying still remaining. So those at the bottom of affairs still have time to get out there and to make up for it. Here's Fullness, that's for Kinetic Esports. Love the design of that Corvette. Oh, gets hit by the curse though of the commentator here, and that's a lap ruined. A couple of slow moving cars here as well, so that's gonna pose us traffic to anyone coming up. It's pretty close, by the way, here at the bottom end of the Division 1 field as well. Here's Judoka, the cycling Judoka, or Judoka. Is this Judoka? I don't know. Someone please correct me when I'm wrong. We got Judoka in 8th for DNA, 7th and 8th, and separated by less than a 10th of the second. The two teammates are at the moment with Dr. Lovejuice, Dr. LJ in the Cayman. So two quite different cars, not really separated by a lot of time there, as Judoka has a bit of a sketchy moment in turn 5, or the exit, the exit of turn 5. And that's what's so easy to do. Going wide. If you go any further than that curving there, you're going to be in some trouble. And that was well saved, because that sand right there can really throw you off, and it can really hurt. Ismatilik currently 6th on the grid, 1.2 seconds off, so it seems like there's a bit of a gap from a couple of the front runners, currently very close on the grid, and then the rest of the field a little bit further behind. Here's our pole sitter, or our provisional pole sitter. hitting in here for Phoenix Esports. As Pemigo comes through for a 27.5 personal best. And we're watching Felix, the VLX driver. That's Dr. LJ getting gentlemanly out of the way in the Cayman, not wanting to disturb a potentially fast lap. Let's see what it is. It's certainly not going to be an improvement for Felix. That's 9/10 off. Maybe a run for another fast lap here. 7 minutes remaining. And a good evening, by the way, to... or I say good evening because, well, it's 8:15 in the evening here in, well, Central Northern Europe. Of course, it could be any time of day, I guess. But welcome if you've joined in the previous, 14 minutes or so since we got the qualifying session underway. Oh, Hallman has now improved by the slightest of bits, and the American seems to master the art of just edging clear of the opposition. And it's gone on to the front row by 0.02 of a second, and I think one of the Vipers did that just... Well, that was Chidoku who just went right back to the pits. So it's looking very good for Hallman. Looks orderly here in the final sector. I think the Lexus gains from having a good bit of grunt in the straight lines. Let's see what it's gonna be here. Oh, it's in the 26s, so no improvement this time around. But as mentioned before, they're all very close in, well, the front 2 rows at the moment, only separated by about 0.3 of a second here. Single filer, the Dutchman for Vanquish Esports in the Viper. And then it's a further half a second. It is actually 0.555 of a second to the 555 car. I don't know if that's a planned move. If that's the case, JL, that's some premier execution right there to judge exactly what is going to be the gap to single filer ahead, and how dare anyone put their car in that gap between single filer and JL to ruin something truly artistic there. Felix with a 1:25.505, now within 1/10 of a second of Darkrai, with just under 4 minutes of qualifying left here at Laguna Seca. Felix wants pole position, and it's a good attempt to get it here. A little bit of an improvement through the first sector. Let's go on board with the German for this lap. Darkrai, of course, also lapping at this point. Oh, I don't think that's going to be improvement out of that corner. Did certainly not look like it, at least. That is on the limit stuff from Felix here at the moment. Into the corkscrew, braking very late, throwing the car in, and that's a bit of a corner cut, and I think that could be a penalty coming up. And that is indeed a 0.5 of a second slowdown penalty received for Felix. That did look like a corner cut, and it sure was. Let's have another look. There it is. Clearly so as well. Really nice that PD has activated these. Oh, and we've had a new purple lap. Look at that. Darkrai crosses the line 1:25.362, and that could very well be the pole position time for tonight, because that's an extra 1/10 of a second for Felix to gain, and that NSX looks very, very hard to beat indeed. So the running order as it is right now, it's Darkrai in front of Felix for virtual life experience. It's Holman for GRT with single filer provisionally on row 2. We've got JL and Dr. LJ. I'd say Love Juice next time. It's gonna get confusing. They're on row 3 together for the time being. Is Madalik and Judoka on row 4 with Bonjour Storm and Fullness of Kinetic Esports on row 5. Row 6 at the moment filled up by Kinetic X11 and Pamigo, and that's it for the drop my remote. Oh, and JL improves. No, JL, how could you do it? The improvement is certainly not enough to get past on single filer. Comfortable space, it seems, down to Dr. Lovejuice here. 50 seconds left of the session, which means that the drivers who are the final bits of their laps now might still make an extra lap. I think JL got it timed pretty well to perfection. Darkrai is gonna make a final lap, a final attempt as well, and Felix is in the middle of one. The German is not gonna make it on to another lap. Let's see Darkrai here just crossing the line, 20 seconds before the checkered flag. And let's see how the Honda handles Laguna Seca. Looks like the car really wants to turn by the rear end here as Darkrai clips the gravel of the outside of turn 3. Perfectly positioned through turn 4, which is what you expect here. Oh, and there's a bit of a spin in front. Is that JL? I'm quite sure that's the Portuguese VLX driver in the BMW. It certainly is. On board we are for whatever happened. Oh, got off-settled. Then onto the gravel. Exactly as spoken of earlier. That is what happens when you get out there. Single filer seems to have called it a day. Judoka the same is now in 7th position with Dr. Lovejuice, teammate for DNA in 6th. Let's see if it's going to be a final improvement for Darkrai. I'm quite sure it's going to be pole position. Nonetheless, by 0.003 of a second, it is not an improvement. But that means all the little single filer does indeed look like bit of a battleship, the Viper, and you wouldn't expect it to go that quickly. So putting in on row 2 here at Laguna Seca, I don't think it's that bad at all. See, the next Viper is the Viper of Judoka in 7th position. So let's see, will it allow us to show the grid order here, the final grid order, or will it just disappear? Got my answer right there, and then before you can have a look at it, it's gone from here as well. And now why? And as we're just about to have the green light, I was somehow kicked from watching the race. And here they are, green, green, green. 28 laps of racing from Laguna Seca underway, and that's Felix getting well off the line in the M4, able to hold the inside line into turn 1 and to take the lead from Darkrai. Is Madelik up into 3rd place, Dr. Lovejuice 4th, Kinetic Fullness in 5th. Bonjour Storm is making moves, but Fullness is grabbing that. The 2 Corvettes battling hard here on the opening part of the race. JL lost a lot of ground there, and we'll have another look at what happened, if possible, here, as Fullness has a bit of a moment on the outside of turn 3, that is, of course. I was about to say that is turn 4, and that brings Fullness to the back of affairs with a bang. Oh, and single filer with the Viper not being able to really move off the line at all. Down into 7th. Well, but saying that, Dr. Lovejuice in 3rd place. So, the DNA Viper seemingly having done very well to get off the line. Now let's see if also Hallman gets a terrible start in the Lexus as well. Look at that. That is 3rd to 11th place in not a lot of distance. And incredibly so, now back up into 4th. Seems like there's a bit of spread already as the front 2 are stringing it out. Dr. Lovejuice in 3rd place in the Viper. It's Hallman 4th for GRT. Bonjour Storm has taken 5th place. Judoka 6th. Single filer back up into 7th place. So it's Viper on Viper for 6th place at the moment. It's JL in the 2nd of the virtual life experience. BMW's down in 8th place now. But single filer 4th place starter. It certainly didn't look too good. Let's have a look at the start from the perspective of the Dutchman. Wasn't that a couple of... There was a couple of poor starts, it has to be said. Hey Helder, rooting for JL, who's an 8th. I think he's gonna have to put in quite the performance if Portuguese is gonna make that a win for today here, as single filer is now getting the run, I think, on Judoka. Judoka seems to suffer a little bit here. And JL on the outside of turn 1. And they're still side by side, the 2. Brilliant stuff here. Into turn 2 they go. That's going to be JL's position for sure, and it is. Let's just see what happened to Judoka there. He seemed to get a bit of a poor exit. Oh, picked up. I guess that's going to be a collisional penalty, because 9.5 seconds. That's absolutely brutal. The lead battle, by the way, is very much still going, and I do owe you a check-in on it and to follow it for a bit as well, because Darkrai seems to be the man on the pace at the moment. But that brilliant start from German BLX Felix is still holding up the American in 2nd. Oh, that Phoenix Esports Honda is really looking quick. And it certainly does seem to be the car to beat for this series. A BMW has been closest to the pace so far. But we've spoken, or I've spoken a bit, myself in pluralist there. I've spoken a bit about the downsides of the BMW, and that being the fuel economy in particular being bad. And I do think it could go and hit them right in the rears as well for this one. Quite sure that Darkrai knows that could possibly just hang out. Oh, going a little bit off the line there. Oh, and that's a big old off track. Is going to be another one here with dirty tires. That's allowed Felix to get a bit of an advantage. Darkrai feeling the pressure for the first time, seemingly at least. Look at this. Missing the apex of turn 4 and doing well to keep it all under control. And his leading time now on this lap. 2.5 seconds now to the leading German. And all the while, it's a further 5 seconds or so down to Hallman. GRT, of course, being a global racing team. And very fitting for them to race in a globally spanning series like the ESGT. This Division 1 features drivers as diversely spread out as, well, the United States, of course. Quite a number of those. We've got an Aussie in the mix as well. And a couple of Portuguese drivers, a Frenchman and a Brit. Not to forget single filer, the Dutchman. That's, of course, only Division 1. If you go down through the ranks, you find people from Brazil as well. Canada represented, of course, Great Britain. A host of other nations represented here in the ESGT. So it is, by all means, a very international series. And let's go back with some of the action further down the line here. It's JL, the gap to single filer being a minute or a minute and a half. That would be quick to gain such an advantage. I take that back. It's a second and a half. And it's coming back together, actually. So single filer, the Dutchman doing well in the Viper. And at the moment, it is Dr. Lovejuice who's in the Cayman. And then the wonderful McLaren is, of course, the 650S Group 4 machine. I must admit, I sometimes do get a little confused about which McLaren is that now. It's a really good game to play. Just as you would with Astons of the 1990s and 2000s. You really have to be a connoisseur to tell them apart. Or so I feel, at least. Here's Judoka with that 9.5 second penalty, of course, not being served. And that is rightfully so. It was a collision penalty. It should not be served. Indeed, here is Bonjour Storm down in 9th place. Having lost a little bit of time. X11 is in 10th. Fullness is in 11th for the time being. And Pamigo, a couple of seconds down, is in 12th place for the time being here. Look at this Darkrai having all but caught up to the rear end of Felix. Now we're on board with the German. It's Wankan time. What would it be without? Oh, bonjour. Bonjour time. It's bonjour time. Oh, it is activate bonjour power. I'm sorry. I apologize for my insultive behavior. I just can't help it. But hey, Lorenzi, and your easy to pronounce name, it's good to see you. It seems to hover around half a second for now. Darkrai, not a lot ago, was down by 1.5 seconds after making a few small mistakes. That gap has come back together really quickly indeed. And fastest lap as well for the Honda in second place. sense with there is a gap to close. 6 seconds down to Holman and the Lexus in third for the time being. For GRT, looking pretty solid, I must say. 4 seconds down to the BMW of GAL. And Virtual Life Experience doing well to keep both of the cars high up the running order. Lorenzi, are you referring to yesterday or in general? Yesterday I just wasn't able to. In general, I don't know. Guess I haven't spoken to anyone about commentating on the VES really. I mean, I'd like to when I have the time, of course, but usually, let's just say that usually I would have the time because I don't have that much life, to be honest. I guess. But yeah, VES sounds great. I love endurance racing, so I'd certainly love to have a look at what's happening with GT Sport stint racing at the moment. Interesting to see this stint racing format being taken to league racing level here. A single filer gets a little bit. Ooh, that's in the final sector. Let's have another look at that. Really trying to hunt the BMW of GAL. That's the problem. They're apexing a little bit too early, and therefore not being able to carry the speed that he otherwise would through there. Single filer does not cost more than a little bit of time. Dr. Lovejuice is defending, by the way, from Ismailik. We're on board with the one racing esports driver. Oh, getting close to the rear end of Dr. LJ, who then gets a poor exit. And the question is it even gonna be an option? I don't think so. But they are close, the two cars here. Oh, they are close indeed. As I say that, they actually string out a bit there through the corkscrew, but oh, and look at this, we've got Darkrai having taken the lead. Outside of the reach of our replay cameras. Oh, but they, by the way, they did ask me for yesterday's stream, and I just sadly and regrettably had to turn the offer down. So for some other time, I'd certainly be up for it. Felix will be less than thrilled to have lost the lead because it is going to be a big effort. I think at least to pull it back from Darkrai, it's gonna require some more mistakes to be made from the American. Holman seems to be doing a pretty good job right now of keeping on pace with the two leaders. But that could of course have been due to gaining. They've been battling up ahead. It's actually closed it in for just a little bit here, albeit not a lot. It's still 5.5 seconds. And then further down the order, JL, single filer is Madalik and Dr. Lovejuice, and Ismailik has gotten past as well. So the Portuguese up into 6th place, and we're actually able to have another glance. I think that is Dr. Lovejuice going a bit wide. That looked a little bit strange. Gonna need another view of that situation. Now that's obviously not gonna be enough time for us to get any kind of idea of what happened. Oh, that's a big old mistake from Dr. Lovejuice. Feeling the pressure, breaking a slight bit too late. Now trying to put the pressure right back on to Ismatilik in that battle for 6th place. Oh, Lorenzi. As if I wouldn't know. You're that guy who's usually super excited to see me. Anyway, back with a check on our 2 leaders. It's DAGRAI pulling out a little bit of an advantage now, 6/10 of a second. So Felix still well within slipstream. The question is if the BMW is going to be able to close in this gap. Oh, there's a bit of a slide there from DAGRAI. That's not going to help the American. Just as it was looking like there was gains to be made. That just goes to show no one's perfect. Not even some of the very best that the world of Gran Turismo sports has to offer. Hallman having lost a bit of time again now. But steadily increasing the advantage though down to JL. It's doing exactly the same down to single filer for Vanquish Esports. Who's now in 5th place. And looks like we still have Ismatilik and Dr. Lovejuice battling it out for 6th. Although I think the Portuguese and the McLaren is now beginning to get a little bit of a gap to the DNA Cayman GT4. The number 69 car. That's very fitting for the gamer tag. And then in 8th, it's Judoka. In 9th, it's Bonjour Storm. X11 is in 10th. Fullness in 11th. And Pamigo means it's still in 12th position. And by the way, we are closing in on the half the race on mark. As we're now on lap 13 of 28 to do to complete today's race. So far, I have to say it's been a very clean couple of laps. I was about to say very clean half of the race, but the standards of driving seems to be well hammered into the heads of these drivers. Just, of course, just kidding. It's not like we have any kind of crazy race directors here, but something I'm not joking about is the standards of racing here seems to be very good indeed. First round of pit stops happening, and at the halfway point of the race, I'd be quite certain that it's the only round of pit stops that is going to be happening. Dr. Lovejuice, Single Filer, and Bonjour Storm all pitting in now. And tires are coming on for Single Filer. That was not the case at Brands Hatch. That tires for Dr. Lovejuice as well? I'm not quite sure. We're going to have to have a second look at that. Here is Bonjour Storm coming in. And that's tires for him as well. filer is well clear of Dr. Lovejuice, and now we'll have to see if the DNA driver is going to be able to undercut the McLaren that he was battling before for 6th place. Now up into 5th is Madalik, and that's of course because of the pit stop of single filer. It's actually Dirten. Oh yeah. Really good being back in the booth for some racing. Feels like I have a little bit of rust to knock off. But it's been a couple of weeks. I haven't really been commentating on anything over the last 2 weeks since we had the opening round of this series, although it will not be long before we will have new TSR, who now goes by the name of Simpac, and it'll still be TSR because it's Team Simpac Racing, but we'll have a brand new Simpac series coming up soon on Half the Race Gone, so that'll be something to look forward to indeed. Felix, the thirst of the M4 is a very, very real thing, and seems that the VLX drivers are being hit by exactly that. As Felix has been in and out, and so has Dark Raya, and it's worth noting that the leading car is packing a lot less fuel than the number 2 machine, and that is, of course, the necessity to fuel a lot less. And it does seem like the NSX, and it's not, of course, by no means is it to take anything away from Lamb and Darkrai, who's been driving the Phoenix Esports NSXs here over the opening 2 races, but it seems like they have a very competitive car in terms of lap times. That is also a very competitive car in terms of its fuel usage. Something that I do not feel that the BMW is able to co-sign to. It's competitive on lap times, that's for sure, but it is not competitive on the economic side of things here. The Lexus on the outlap here onto lap 16. The first flying lap after the pit stop. Hallman has lost quite a bit of time as well, and that would, I think, mean that the Lexus also not really able to keep up with the Honda in terms of fuel consumption. Here's single filer back into 4th place is Madalik. Oh, JL for VLX as well is still in 5th. It's Madalik. That was what I meant to say before. Still in 6th place in the 1 McLaren. Dr. Lovejuice and Judoka in 7th and 8th for DNA. Bonjour Storm, the privateer in the Corvette, is 9th. Currently really battling it out. Actually close racing going on here between Bonjour Storm and Kinetic Fullness in the Corvettes. Yeah. Well, Felix, you never know what comes out my mouth. It's some unpredictable burp. Fullness on a very good lap here, it seems. Of course, fresh tires, not a lot of fuel in the cars, or less fuel I'd expect than at race start, and then room to actually make use of these speedy cars. And it's not gonna be a purple lap though, it seems, not at all. It's gonna be a personal best for Fullness though. Dark Ride now ahead of Felix by 9.2 seconds, so the pit stop has made all the difference between the two. They were close. hard to separate until... And then it's been all but over ever since. Kind of depressing for Felix knowing that he would have to pull out around half a second per lap, if not even a little bit more, for it to have worked out to actually be able to pit in and get out ahead of Darkrai. But that's the PD BOP that we're running under, so not a lot to do. Oh, that's a bit of a moment again for a single filer. Not the first time the Dutchman has had a close call. Let's have a look at this one. It's of course in the final hairpin. The hairpin, oh, just rides the sausage, goes quickly through but gets the outside tires onto the gravel. And that makes for a bit of a moment. Of course, single filer has to make sure that JL does not catch up. It's just 2.5 seconds in that battle for 4th place is Metalik. Also knocking on the door, a further 3 seconds behind, ready to pounce on any mistakes made ahead. Let's see the two DNA cars. Well, they're separated by 5.5 seconds. Hashtag real burp for the time being. So the race with 10 laps or so remaining now, seemingly having settled. And it's Phoenix Esports yet again with Darkrai in the number 7 car, looking very, very, very cool. The pressure was on earlier from Felix, and that initiated a couple of mistakes from the American here, but it's been very smooth ever since Darkrai got back into the lead, and there hasn't been any traces of nerves to see there with the American ever since. And Phoenix Esports heading towards a 2nd consecutive win here in Division 1, which is going to secure Darkrai a lead, because Lamb isn't racing here today, and that's of course a big disadvantage for Lamb. Of course, victor of our first round of action at Brands Hatch. Felix now fighting the BMW, it seems. Hallman is actually closing in a little bit on the German. It's still 5.5 seconds though. And single filer, whom we saw having a big moment before, is also losing time to Hallman out ahead. And I'm wondering, did anyone go for not changing tires? If they did, I'm not sure that's going to be a gain in the end. The difference on the pit stop, just about 6 seconds. So those mechanics certainly able to shift those hands quickly when it comes to the tire changes. Single filer now defending a 1.6 second lead down to JL. So the Dutchman might be getting nervy. Still 10 laps or 9 laps of racing left as they cross the line here. Plenty of time to get back up for JL if the Portuguese can just keep a cool head. And then further down, it's still a battle between Fullness and Bonjour Storm for 9th place as well. The two Corvettes, Privateer and Kinetic Esports, being the teams, of course. I say Privateer, that's a bit of... It's a bit of a joke in the end, but I like to see the Privateer. I think actually Fullness must have made some kind of mistake there in turn 1, because there was quite a bit of time lost on the Delta. Oh, going too deep on the brakes and having almost spun. Well caught in the end for Fullness there. Pamico coming in. That looks... I was about to say that looks like a strange box, but why would Pamico come into the pits at this point of the race? Oh. See, that did look a little bit strange. and a little buggy to me. I don't know what exactly happened from what we were seeing. That's what I'm talking about there before, Lorenzi. By the way, I don't know what exactly happened there. Looked strange, give you that. But, yeah, what does the PD come up with from time to time here? It's still Felix holding on to 5.7 seconds down to Hallman. It's not looking like the American GRT driver in the Lexus is able to really close up that gap. The gap between JL and single filer is closed in ever so slightly, but it's gonna need more than that if it's actually gonna close. Is hovering around those 1.5 seconds, the gap between single filer and JL. We've got Ismadilik in 6th place, consolidating that position in front of the two DNA machines. They do not look like they're able to catch up to the Portuguese. A little bit more pace in the McLaren than Dr. LJ in the Cayman. That's the one car of Amigo, of course. As mentioned, in 12th place, teammate of Ismadilik. So they're, of course, entering a Lexus as well as that McLaren. Bakrai having cleared that round of traffic, and JL having gained a slight bit of time, but it is no more than a slight bit. There through the corkscrew, that's a bit of what JL needs to actually catch up. A mistake, I think, from single filer. Looked a little out of order through the corkscrew, and time is gained for the Portuguese, hunting 4th place. 6 laps of racing now remaining, and certainly wouldn't expect it to be beyond JL to get a move in here at this late stage of the race. Of course, slipstream is going to be ramping up for JL. Very good job of just upping the pace a slight bit, it seems, here. We've got Bonjour Storm and Fullness still going at it. It's still for positions 9 and 10, and they're as close as ever. Might even be closer than ever before here with Fullness looking for the opportunity, perhaps into the final hairpin. There it is. I think Bonjour Storm getting a little bit wide now. Fullness is on the outside. Storm might be compromising the exit. In the end, doesn't. Gets a very good run, actually. And looks to be able to defend that one all the way down to turn 1. Very late, both of them there into turn 2. And I think Bonjour Storm really feeling the pressure now, although there it is. Fullness getting a bit of a bad run through turn 3, and that gives a bit of breathing space for the Frenchman ahead. Although still not a lot. Pressure from Fullness here. It's gonna take a lot for the man also known as Avup to keep his composure. Oh, and there's the cut to the inside. Looking for it, Fullness. Every way possible. We're gonna have another look at that one quickly because there's a bit of an attempt to do a switchback as Abu chose the outside line, but just realizing the gap was probably a little bit too big indeed. And Bonjour Storm defending well here, I think, through turn 1. Fullness not really able to get the run. Oh, and there's JL and Single Filer now just separated by 0.8 of a second. So that gap has effectively now been halved by the Portuguese in the second of the VLX BMWs. And that could very well be the chance. So we'll have to see if we can keep our eyes on 2 battles at one time, because we've got 2 pieces of great action going down right now. With the battle for 4th and 9th, or the battles for both 4th and 9th position here. Bonjour Storm still holding on to it in the battle of the Corvettes. It sounds like a naval battle. A long time ago. It isn't. It's just a race. Just in quotation marks, because it's some damn fine racing here from Laguna Seca here now. It's Fullness looking for it on the outside of turn 1. We'll be trying to get the good launch into turn 2. Trying to force Bonjour Storm to go defensive. But the Frenchman is unfazed so far. Now here back with Single Filer, who's gotten a little bit of the breathing space back. It's now 1.1 seconds between the Dutchman and JL. Wang Cam time here on board with Bonjour Storm, 9th place. He's had the same view in that rear-view mirror for some time now. Here is the Kinetic Esports car, comes to the inside after a bad exit of turn 5. Into the Corkscrew they come. Very much side by side, and Bonjour Storm has to concede the position. No, perhaps not. They're still side by side, and that's for... Oh, absolutely brilliant. Fullness does not get the run out of the Corkscrew. And as I'm trying to do my best not to upset my neighbors, in the heat of excitement there, Bonjour Storm keeps the position in the end. Very well driven. And we'll have to have a second look at that entire situation from the perspective of Fullness here. First is that bad run through turn 5 for Bonjour Storm. And Fullness, I would have expected to have Fullness have it sealed off there, but the brilliant camera work here. It's not shabby at all. What's certainly brilliant is the defending, though, from Bonjour Storm. The racecraft here to actually keep track position. Very well done. Let's see, as we rejoin, it is still the situation. So we're on the penultimate lap now. So close to mission complete. But we're still not there, and yet again I think we're going for round 2 here, because it would be a carbon copy if Fullness had the run there towards the Corkscrew this time around. That is not even the case, and the American has to wait and try to pick up a chance. But just a single lap remaining now to get it done. Single filer is also beginning to feel the pressure, as they're just now separated by half a second in the battle for 4th place. JL in the VLX machine is certainly knocking on the back door here of the Vanquish Esports Viper in front. But time very much also running out, and there goes single filer! Off to the left-hand side. That looked very strange indeed. I think that looks like a... Yeah. I was just about to say that looked like some kind of connection issue. And at the worst possible of times, can we see some respectful crying Fs in chat for single filer suffering a disconnection on the final lap, as Darkrai has picked up the checkered flag to win round 2 of the ESGT GT4 series here from Laguna Seca. Second win in a row for Phoenix Esports. Second win in a row for Honda. First win of the season for Darkrai. Felix gets another podium. Second place here it is. And a podium as well for Holman, the GRT driver in the Lexus. And that unlucky turn of events for single filer has left JL in 4th, is Medelik in 5th, Dr. Lovejuice 6th, here is Judoka finishing 7th, and Fullness is looking for it to the end because it's still not settled. Bonjour Storm is holding on for dear life, and I think the Frenchman is just about gonna keep the kinetic Corvette at bay, and that is exactly what happens. And actually, Storm carrying a little bit of a penalty to the line, but that's going to be deducted from the race time if that's a collision penalty indeed. A big rest in peace to single filer, and I really hope... I mean, yeah, I guess there isn't really much to do. Nonetheless, that is absolutely terrible luck. I mean... And not just terrible luck, that is a rotten bit of luck, if ever I've seen one. To be honest. Anyway, a big congratulations to Darkrai for Phoenix Esports, having picked up a second win in a row for them. Felix second, Holman third. And that's rounding off the podium. The rest of the field in the order of JL is Medelik, Dr. Lovejuice, Judoka, Fullness, Bonjour Storm. Those two are just going to be switched back around, I believe. Though, don't hang me up on it. The next 11 as well for Kinetic and Pamigo. 13 for One Racing Esports. And that's both of the Lexuses, the Lexi, if you will, finishing in 10th and 11th. And that just makes Holman's podium place finish in the 3rd of the Lexus even more impressive. So a good race, it has to be said. Of course, we are also on the interviews channel in the ESGT Discord now. So should there be any drivers wanting to have a bit of a chat about the race, we are more than open for joinees, so to say. And in the meantime, I can just snatch the opportunity to say thanks for joining in with us here today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you along for some very good racing here from Laguna Seca. Although after the pit stop, it looked like the race order was pretty settled and we were spare of any big drama until the final moments of the race. And then there was big drama indeed with the disconnection of single filer. Yeah, no, I do not think that Daft Punk and Pharrell was thinking about Vanquish Esports when they wrote that song. So let's see. Cooper can't join the channel. That's strange. Maybe Cooper will try the general one instead. Perhaps that'll be different. We'll try now. I see you in here, Cooper.
Boo.
Boo. Congratulations, Cooper, on a very good race yet again for Phoenix Esports and for yourself, taking a dominant victory with not a lot of, as we'd say in Denmark, not a lot of wobbling in the dance. I don't think you have that expression in English, but I think you catch my drift here. It was a safe showing from you today. Was that the feeling you had in the car as well?
I knew what I had to do in the race. I knew what I had to save fuel. I knew to stay tires a little bit. So I thought that I was like seconds. I thought Fear would be much closer, but after 33, I was surprised that he had 7%. So I was surprised, and just mentality after this, just to be consistent. And at the end, I had to save a little bit of fuel so I can make it to the end. I crossed, had 0.5 left. So.
Well, it seems like you managed that pretty perfectly in the end. For the championship now, you're our new leader coming into the third round of racing in 2 weeks. How are you gonna approach the next few races now, being in the lead in the championship?
Well, I'm just gonna the race actually start, because I think that's one thing I'm struggling with. Not only in ESGT, but in FIA too. I'm just not practicing enough. I'm not practicing. I really had I have to keep doing it again and again and again. And, at the end of the day, that's what matters. I think Lamb may have a chance of beating me, but today, if I can just I can make that less easy on him, maybe more harder.
So there's not going to be any teamwork on trying to keep the title within Phoenix Esports between the two of you?
Yeah, I mean, we're both pretty good drivers, I would say. So we can have on-track battles. It's just the car that we drive is just really, really good for this season, I feel. So I think we'll have like a good chance of challenging for the, may the best, may the best win,
Yeah, indeed. There's a bit of a Williams F1 1996 vibe to the quality of that NSX Group 4 machine, that's for sure. But anyways, Cooper, it's been a pleasure talking to you. We've been having a bit of a bad connection, so I hope the audience has been able to hear what you said a bit more clearly than I did. But if that's the case, not a big shame. But a big congratulations to you, and looking forward to see your race in 2 weeks' time. Cheers, mate. And with that, it's going to be the conclusion of our broadcast here tonight, here on ESGT Official. My name is DirtenDK. It's been a big pleasure having you along. Remember to click the like button. Remember to subscribe if you want to see more ESGT. Of course, we've got the Virtual Endurance Series running with the double stint 3 to 4 hour races and multi-class, of course, as well. So that's very much worth checking up for. There'll be a highlight package, which is also going to be featuring highlights from some of the other divisions, which is also very much worth checking out when that comes up. And of course, you can check out more of what I do over at Half the Race Gone, which I have been cheeky to leave a link for in the description. So as I said, it's been a pleasure. Until next time, hear from us at ESGT. Take care, have fun, and bye bye.